Behind every legend lies a reason. This is Myth and Motive.
This is the street where time forgets itself, where reality peels back to reveal something older and hungrier. On October 17th, every resident of Maple Drive reported the same impossible event. A neighbor, smiling and waving, then flickering into a ghost of themselves. But in the next instant, her form dissolved into a translucent echo, her wave now a skeletal gesture against the fading light. The air didn't just grow cold. It thickened with the scent of ozone and wet soil, as if the ground itself had taken a sudden, deep breath. Witnesses described a pressure in their ears, a low hum that wasn't a sound but a vibration in the teeth, followed by absolute, unnatural quiet. This wasn't a ghost story, it was a fracture. A momentary glimpse into a layer of existence that bleeds into our own when certain conditions align. And the most terrifying part, after the flicker, after the neighbor solidified back into her smiling, waving self, she had no memory of it, but the street remembered. The concrete was damp where it shouldn't be, and every security camera on the block captured 47 seconds of pure, screaming static. The camera glides over a pristine, empty playground, the swings rocking gently with no one there to push them. What if everyone you loved had already vanished? What if the town you inhabit, the home where you rest, the companions whose laughter you share, are merely reflections? This is not a tale of a ghost town. This is the story of those who dwell within one, who have forgotten they were ever truly alive. For Mark and Lily Evans, Perdita, Ohio represented a clean slate. They settled into a charming, slightly weathered house on a quiet, tree-lined street. Neighbors arrived with casseroles, offering warm smiles and pleasantries. The air carried the scent of fresh-cut grass and honeysuckle, masking something faint, metallic, and old beneath. It was perfect. Too perfect, perhaps. Mark, a freelance writer, cherished the profound quiet, while Lily, a botanist, was captivated by the garden's unnaturally vibrant, perpetual blooms. Every single day at 4:15 p.m., without fail, old Mr. Henderson would wave from his porch. Lily would see him while tending her garden, the roses blooming with an unnaturally vivid, almost phosphorescent crimson. The air carried the thick, sweet scent of those blossoms, mixed with the faint, metallic tang of old soil. It was a ritual as precise and unsettling as the ticking of a hidden clock. Her fingers brushed a petal. It felt like chilled silk. Lily. They never wilt, Mark. It's magical. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth, and something sweetly metallic. Mark. Yeah, magic. The first fracture in the porcelain was minuscule. Working late, Mark heard the faint, distorted strains of a 1940s big band tune drifting from the vacant house next door. The air in his study grew thick with the scent of ozone and old dust. The next day, Lily found her garden shears placed neatly on the porch step, as if arranged by an unseen hand. At first, they dismissed it as quirky town charm, laughing it off. But then the atmosphere shifted. The light became permanently golden, even at high noon. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and damp earth, as if the town itself was holding its breath. That's when the laughter stopped, replaced by a creeping realization that something fundamental had broken. The world seemed muted, as if underwater, and Mark's digital camera captured only blurred streaks of gray static when he tried to photograph Lily in the square. That's when his attention shifted to the vehicles lining the streets. Each was a pristine, vintage model, like a '57 Chevy and an old pickup truck. They were perfect, timeless, and utterly, unnervingly out of place. The world outside the library windows felt frozen in time. No modern vehicles ever passed by. Cell service was a forgotten concept. Every newspaper at the local diner carried yesterday's date, its headlines unnervingly mundane. Mark stood among the silent stacks, the air thick with the scent of decaying paper and quiet dread. The leather-bound history book came away in his hands, with a soft thud that echoed in the quiet room. He found the chapter on Perdita, but the narrative stopped dead in 1958, the remaining pages utterly blank. His finger brushed the empty paper, coming away coated in a fine, cold grit that smelled of decayed paper and forgotten years. The air in the study seemed to grow dense, pressing in as he whispered the question the book refused to answer. What happened in 1958? He confronted Mr. Henderson later that day, precisely at 4:15 p.m. A strange, distant look clouded the old man's eyes as a slow smile spread across his lips. The air in the room grew thick and stale, carrying the faint scent of old paper and dust. 1958? He murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. That was a good year. It was a perfect year, with endless days of golden sunshine. Then Lily began to sleepwalk. Mark would find her in the midnight garden, standing unnaturally still. She was always facing the gnarled, ancient oak tree. Lily's glassy eyes remained fixed on nothing, her voice a hollow whisper in the dark. "Can't you hear them?" "Who?" she murmured, the words slurred with sleep. "They're singing." Mark leaned closer, the damp chill of the room seeping into his bones. "Who, Lily?" he asked, his own voice tight. "Who's singing?" Lily's voice dropped to a spectral whisper. "Everyone. Under the ground. They're so lonely." A metallic scent, like wet iron, bloomed in the stagnant air around her. The faintest sound of scratching, like nails on old wood, echoed from somewhere deep below. Her words hung in the thick silence, a confession that made the very foundation feel hollow. Dust motes swirled in the attic's stale air as Mark lifted the lid from an unmarked wooden crate. Inside, he found a stack of yellowed black and white photographs. His breath caught as he recognized the same floral patterned china on the dining table, captured in the 1950s. The very armchair he now sat in was positioned exactly the same in the faded image, a perfect echo across decades. And in one photo, a family, a man, a woman, a little girl, stood frozen in their living room, occupying the precise positions where Mark, Lily, and their non-existent child would later stand. Outside, a storm gathered without a sound, a slow, gray fog smothering Perdita under a silent shroud. Streetlights flickered to life, casting long, grotesque shadows that stretched like grasping fingers toward the Evans house. On every porch, the once friendly neighbors stood utterly motionless, their blank faces all turned in unison toward the silent home. Then, the silence broke. It began as a whisper in the pipes, a sigh within the walls. Then came the voices. A crowded room's murmur, a child's faint laugh, a distant heated argument, all layered over each other, emanating from the empty air of their home. The air grew thick with the scent of ozone and the cold, damp touch of the unseen. Mark, his voice raw with desperation, clutched Lily, shaking. "We have to go. Now. To the car!" They scrambled inside, the door slamming shut behind them with a final, hollow thud. The key turned in the ignition. The engine gave a single, weak groan, then fell utterly silent. A metallic ozone smell filled the cabin, and from the darkness outside came the faint, wet sound of something dragging itself closer. Not a click. The engine is cold, dead metal. They sprint down Main Street, their breath hitching in ragged gasps. The fog thickens, swallowing the world in a damp, choking shroud. The air grows heavy with the scent of ozone and decay, a sticky dread clinging to their skin. The buildings around them began to flicker. One moment, the diner was bright and new. The next, it was a burnt-out shell, its sign hanging by a single, rusted thread. A metallic scent, like ozone and old rot, clung to the air as they reached the town limits. Beyond it, the road simply ended, not in a barrier or a drop, but in an abrupt, impossible void of crumbling asphalt and empty space. Not in a cliff, but in a sheer, seamless wall of gray, swirling nothingness, like a painted backdrop fraying at the edges. Lily's voice trembled with raw terror, choked by sobs. "What is that?" "E," she whispered. From behind them, Mr. Henderson's voice cut through the air, unnervingly calm. "The edge of the memory," he stated flatly, as the air grew heavy with the scent of ozone. They turn, and the entire town stands behind them in the street. But they're different, translucent. The air thickens with the faint, metallic scent of ozone, and a damp chill clings to the skin. From the stillness, a low, collective whispering begins, like dry leaves rustling across pavement. A primal dread takes hold, freezing them in place before the spectral gathering. The fluorescent lights flickered, casting Mr. Henderson's smile in a sickly, intermittent glow. His eyes were hollow pits, devoid of any light or life. The air in the room grew thick with the scent of ozone and old paper. A sticky, unnatural silence pressed in, broken only by the frantic scratching of a pen from somewhere unseen. The 1958 mine collapse. A silent, invisible gas crept through the sleeping quarters. It claimed every soul without a whisper of struggle. The silence that followed was absolute and suffocating. But we loved this place. We refused to abandon it. So, we remained. We simply relived the perfect days. The air grew thick with the scent of old paper and forgotten perfume. A faint, rhythmic scratching whispered from within the walls. We clung to our beautiful, rotting memories. Over and over, the cycle repeated. wearing thin the fabric of our reality. We craved new faces to reignite the sensation, to pierce the numbness that had settled deep within us. Their fresh terror, their raw panic, was the only thing that could make it feel real again. We needed their fear to remind our hollowed-out selves what being alive was supposed to feel like. The spectral forms of Perdita advanced, their movement not menacing but suffused with a profound, aching sorrow. The air grew heavy with the scent of damp earth and ozone, a tangible weight pressing down. "Mr." Henderson's voice was a low murmur, barely audible over the whispering chill that clung to the skin. "Stay," he urged, the word hanging between them. "It's peaceful here." Mark looked at Lily, then at the decaying town flickering behind the ghostly projection, and the truth gripped him. The air grew heavy with the scent of damp rot and ozone, a metallic tang clinging to the back of his throat. A low, resonant hum vibrated through the ground, and the cheerful projection of Lily began to flicker and distort. He understood her offer now, not an invitation to a good day, but a binding to this decaying, eternal moment. The vibrant garden dissolved into a field of ash and dead brambles, their beautiful house now a collapsed ruin. Mark's breath hitched as the horrifying realization dawned on him. "Lily, we never left the car." "The accident on the drive here," Mark whispered into the heavy air, the scent of ozone and decay clinging to him. "We're not visitors. We are new memories." The edge of the gray nothing looms before them, a silent, swirling abyss that smells faintly of ozone and decay. Behind them, the ghostly townspeople stand motionless, their hollow gazes fixed on the couple, waiting. The air grows heavy and cold, thick with the weight of a choice that will echo through whatever remains of time. The flickering ceased, and the town solidified. A perfect, sun-drenched, unnervingly quiet Perdita. A sticky, metallic scent lingered in the motionless air, like ozone after a storm. On their porch, Mark and Lily stood frozen, their breath catching in unison. The clock on the wall behind them read 4:15 p.m., its quiet tick, the only sound in the heavy stillness. Mark lifted his hand in a slow, precise arc. "Mr." Henderson's exact same greeting, toward a moving van that had just parked across the street. A young couple emerged, their smiles bright and cheerful as they waved back, completely unaware of the gesture's eerie familiarity. Meanwhile, Lily tended to her garden, where roses bloomed in impossibly vivid hues, their petals never wilting or fading. The air carried the faint, sweet scent of those perfect blooms, masking something else, something metallic and cold beneath. She glances up at the new neighbors, her smile warm, welcoming, but her gaze is as vacant as Mr. Henderson's once was. Narrator. Some towns are built on gold, some on coal. Narrator. Perdita was built on a moment, a single, perfect, repeating moment, and it's always looking for new residents. So look around you. Does the sun always set at the same time? Your neighbors. Smiles appear, rehearsed, as if painted on each morning. The neighborhood's unnatural quiet presses in, thick and suffocating. You might just be home. Welcome to Perdita. You're gonna love it here. The air thickened with the metallic scent of ozone and decay. A sticky dampness clung to the skin as distant whispers slithered through the darkness. Every surface felt slick with something cold and unidentifiable, while a rhythmic dripping echoed from unseen depths. The promise hung in the stagnant air, tasting of rust and finality.